Hello, I am the legendary Leggoh JohVera. I've been in the scene since 2010. I am a legendary vogue fan, I'm a legendary commentator, and I am also the founder of Open to All. I came to New York and I was homeless. So I was also, dealing with just the fact of, I was living a great life in Baltimore, and, one thing led to another, and I found myself in New York living in an SRO. And it was a very hard time to get adjusted to, along with, a lot of tumultuous stuff happening with my house at that time. So what I ended up finding was, sex was a great escape for me. I was having sex so much that I found myself wanting to have more of an experience and do more and, experience more with it. That one time a guy came over my house and he introduced crystal meth, or Tina, to me. And the moment that I took it, I found that the very thing that I was looking for to experience more with sex, I found with Tina. And that just put me into a rabbit hole to where I was very reckless. I was, going to the orgies, with the one guy that got it. I was going to the parks, to, get access immediately without having to talk to people. I've made advances to friends of mine. It got to a point where it was really, really reckless to me. And honestly, I was reaching a point where I didn't care about it. I ended up getting to a point where people around me that I was having with, or having sex with, were dying, rapidly. It was just like, I would have sex with one guy, and then the next week I see people posting rest in peace. And a lot of times I didn't even know that they were ballroom people, and the deaths from Tina started to get closer and closer and closer to me. I had this realization. I was just like, okay, well, I need to stop. I need to stop I need to stop this. And at the same time, I'm coming to that realization that I need to stop what was happening. But at the same time, I was realizing I needed to stop with the drug use. I was just starting OTA, right at the point where I was going to, like, this is my last straw, and I'm just gonna, throw out a big net, and I'm announced publicly that this is what I deal with. And I saw that Yolanda had posted, online that, she was going through her mental health thing, and it had encouraged me to, talk about it. Only problem was I saw that everybody's response then to her was majority negative on the public aspect. And not too long after, Yolanda ended up committing suicide. So I ended up thinking, like, well, if Yolanda's as big as she is, who the hell am I to, make a post and expect that I'm gonna have a different, reaction? So I didn't talk about it. And because I didn't talk about it, I ended up going right back to the same recklessness that I was dealing with. Moving forward, I was still dealing with the issues of the urge to use Tina, but I find myself in, working on OTA so much and working on, with Tim, and finding more responsibilities, that the weight of the responsibilities started to outweigh the urge, for me to, go back to this drug use. So we fast forward to the pandemic, and I ended up going to, this is the time that 2020 we're in quarantine, and I ended up going through a horrible relationship, a horrible breakup, and I ended up relapsing. All the time that I was, I invested in me being proud of myself, not going back to this space, and, doing this stuff with Tim, with making sure that the seed is aware of the drug use and all this extra stuff, and I ended up relapsing. And it was, for me, such a humiliating time that I ended up actually going on live and announcing my drug use, because at this point I'm like, fuck it, And I ended up talking about it, and immediately after that, I just had this moment where I was just like, I cannot step back into this space. What would have happened if I would have relapsed? while OTA was running? What would have happened if I were to relapse while not only just OTA, everything else that I have going on in my life? You know, what would happen? You know, and I felt like I was being very, very protected, you know, by that. And I just had this moment stepping back into it, you know, wow, you know, you really need to get a hold. And honestly, when it comes to, you know, getting over drug use, I wouldn't say that I was addicted to Tina. I was addicted to sex, and sex was closely knitted to Tina. And I treated Tina just like it was using poppers. You know what I'm saying? If I was gonna have sex, then 9 times out of 10 I was gonna do Tina. We fast forward to now I'm in Times Square, and I'm getting deemed legendary in front of the world, in front of the icons. And that was the #1 moment where I was just like, I would never go back to this. To have the experience that I have and know that I am just, I am one of the lucky ones that didn't die. I'm not one of the people that, you know, ended up going off the wayside. You know, I find that the responsibilities that, you know, I have with, you know, being a commentator and being a business owner, you know, and, you know, the other jobs that I have with, you know, that is basically like my livelihood, you know. It's very rare that, you know, it's weird that someone from California is now living in New York and has the position that they have. So I don't take it for granted. I'm very, very grateful. And, you know, I'm very, very honored to be in a space where I can say that I overcame succumbing to drug use, and I found that through the responsibilities that grew in my life. You know, I have 2 great puppies that, you know, are the pride and joy. So now I have it even more magnitude as like I have 2 living beings that depend on me, you know, and I never wanted to feel small again, you know, and I'm very glad that I have a platform in which where I can speak about this stuff and speak about it as a survivor, you know, and it never really went away. You know what I'm saying? I still have moments where, you know, I think about it, but I'm so glad that the responsibilities that I have right now prevents me from going back to that space. And I'm so glad that I'm able to sit in front of you as the legendary Leggoh JohVera, founder of OTA. So if there's anything that I can say to the newer generation, you know, I know that life is hard, you know what I'm saying? And we try to find our escapes the way that we find our escapes, you know what I'm saying? And no one's to be judged. But I would say always understand that you have potential to be greater than where you are. It happened for me, it can happen for you. I realized that the reason why I kept on going back to Tina was because I liked sex, and sex was my escape. Find what it is, if you're in my space, you know what I'm saying, find what it is that causes you to go back and do everything that you can to remove those triggers. That's what I do. If I have friends, family, associates that try to trigger me to go back to this space, they're instantly blocked and removed. You know what I'm saying? Because I find that my future is more important and your future is more important